Welcome to the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. Here are your hosts, DJ Marcotte and John Soroyce. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Working Class Podcast, the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm DJ.
And I'm John Soroyce.
And you feeling some love today, my man?
I'm always feeling the love.
There's love in the air. Last week, we were really negative. We got all the negativity out of our system with the 10 Things I Hate episode. I feel like we need to bring that back around and add some love into the mix. What do you think?
I think it's going to be fantastic. And one thing I do love, I think I actually may be heard now.
Even a little bit more than last week.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I think we actually found the issue. And
didn't we say that last week?
Yeah, but we're not technical guys, but I think we are now. I think we got it figured out.
Yeah, puberty. That was all it was. We just needed you to go through puberty, and we were good to go. So,
hey, guys.
So, yeah, this week, folks, we're going to talk about the 10 things we love about fantasy football, and it's also kind of a how to build a better league episode as well. So we're going to talk about some stuff that makes us happy, makes us want to keep coming back like addicts, like the addicts that we are to fantasy football. And I'm going to actually have John, you're going to lead it off with number 10.
Number 10. Number 10 is the off season, and that involves research, preparation, free agency, NFL draft, and trades.
All kinds of stuff. So for me, I'm like I said in the last episode, I'm a year-round junkie when it comes to fantasy football. When the regular season ends, which was on our 10 things that we hate when the regular season ends, but at the same time, we love when the off season kicks off because that just means we're getting ready for next year, right?
The off season starts immediately for me right after the day the season ends. Still staying involved no matter what.
Yeah, man.
Some people drop those magazines and cheat sheets.
Yeah.
Me and DJ keep going.
Do they make off season magazines?
They do. Seriously, they actually do college ones, which aren't good to follow.
You could call Roger on his rotary phone and see if they make off-season magazines. But no, with the off-season for us, we do keeper leagues, we do dynasty leagues, and those are really, really fun. We'll talk about those later. But for me, like I just have fun with the combine. I have fun with free agency. I mean, free agency is almost like a mini draft day because you get to see where these guys are changing teams. And to be honest with you, 90% of the time it doesn't work out these days. Most of the time it's rookies that perform well out of the gate. It's not the free agents that change teams. And frankly, most of the time when that happens, they actually their production declines. Looking at you, Antonio Brown, just throwing that out there. But it's still fun to see a guy put on a new uniform. So the free agency aspect is really fun. And of course, we have our draft, which is the most important draft, but the NFL also has their draft. Do you have any NFL draft hobbies or traditions that you do, John?
Biggest thing, I like to look at college. Obviously, the players, it's hard to watch all games of college since there's so many teams because you have different divisions, 1, 2, and 3. A lot of people to follow.
Yeah.
Suggestion on that is beat writers are really good to read about, finding out, the best ones are usually the Heisman candidates, but they're not always the ones, especially defensive guys. To me, there's different aspects you got to look at when you look at an NFL draft. I mean, it's kind of like a kid taking an SAT test in high school.
Yeah.
Some test well, some don't.
Yeah. Depends on the high school, too, right?
It depends on the high school.
I mean, it's all about where they land. I don't want to disparage any high schools here, but it's all about where they land and their landing spot. You can have a guy coming out of college that's really, really good, and then he goes to, I don't know, insert crappy team here. Well, it used to be the Browns, used to be my go-to, but I guess I can't really do that anymore. But you get my point.
People seem to forget that, you have some of these people that come out from smaller colleges. I mean, a.k.a. Cooper Kupp. Joe Flacco was from Division I AA.
Yeah.
And, people tend to give these people a hard time, but they're coming out of smaller schools.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the bigger school anymore. It's how you perform on the next level.
Yeah.
I know size and all that is a huge aspect for the draft.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when a kid has a natural ability, Tariq Cohen, what is he, 5'6", 5'5"? they don't call him the human joystick for nothing. He
still
proves
think that's
that he's
really dirty, bro.
I did not make up the nickname. That's what he has earned. But that's the thing. Nowadays it's all about the talent on the field and what they bring. So sometimes you find these gems in this draft and at the combine that you wouldn't normally see if you're watching TV, and they just jump right off the page. And then there's some that, like I said before, they don't test well at the combine, but at their pro day, they rock it sideways.
Yeah. And my favorite, I would have to say the NFL draft is my favorite part of the off season. And the reason for that is like, that's kind of the crescendo of the off season. And then we're really rolling into, okay, these are the guys that are on these teams, and we can really start to fully prepare. I mean, we look at stuff in the off season, but you got to take some of it with a grain of salt. A guy might look like he's going to be the workhorse back. You look at, perfect example, Jordan Howard got traded to Philly, right? Oh, Tariq Cohen. And while I love Tariq Cohen, you got to be patient and you got to wait to see if there's any additions in the draft or free agency. And sure enough, David Montgomery goes there.
It changes everything.
Changes the dynamic completely. But the draft is a blast. A lot of people have draft parties. For us in the off season, we keep the juice going and we stay invested with some special events that we have that we'll talk about later. But yeah, the off season for us, especially in keeper and dynasty leagues, is just as active. And if you want to beat the competition, maybe even more active sometimes than the regular season.
And to me, it all comes down to the more involved you are in the off season.
Dude, I feel like really blown up after that Subway. I'm like out of breath. I'm like, the NFL draft.
Go jump on the treadmill.
Yeah, it was like a veggie patty.
The biggest thing for me is the research, because here's the thing. You can have these guys go to places here and there and, running back moves here. This person trade here. This person is picked up from the draft from this team. You got to look at the dynamics of the team. If a team that had 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen have lost all 3 and you got a good running back there, does that mean he's going to be good? Not necessarily. So research is looking at those things. It's not always about the star wide receiver, running back that gets traded or they're drafted. Yeah. Look at who they're getting in other positions because it upgrades the whole team in a way. So if you got a perfect example I can use is Quentin Nelson from the Colts. Yeah. The year they drafted him, they wanted to be in a long-term solution on the line, and look what it did to Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck blew up. He really did.
People don't look at those little dynamics.
Exactly. Yeah. And Quentin Nelson ended up becoming a Pro Bowler. Yeah. I think he gave up 2 sacks. I might be wrong on that stat. Yeah. But it improved everything. I mean, the passing game, the running game. So those little aspects that people don't look at it. Oh, who cares about Quentin Nelson? Yeah. It makes a big difference on your offensive player or team. So you could have that gem that you think is like the best running back, but the team loses a big foundation of something. It changes the whole dynamics of what it's going to do to the team, a.k.a. Antonio Brown. Yeah. Leaving a team with a...
Mr. Mustache.
The Walrus. With a suspect quarterback. I've never been a fan of Carr. I'm not say that the basher, but I've never been a fan.
Yeah, Derek Carr's not like a Lamborghini car. He's like a Pinto.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, I just think a spot like Antonio Brown, where he's going to the Raiders, he has a chance to shine, but who's taking that pressure off of him? Look at the weapons. Even if you add Josh Jacobs and you look at the other dynamics, what else did they add to take pressure off of Antonio Brown?
Tyrell Williams.
But even then, is he going to be the gem? Or is he going to blow his ACL? I'm not trying to curse him or anything, but it changes the dynamic.
You have a knack for that. David Johnson, a couple of years ago. Thank you very much.
He broke his wrist, not his ACL.
Whatever. But this right here goes to, obviously we adore the regular season, but the banter we're having right now is how much fun we have in the off season. And even if it's a redraft league, you need to pay attention in the off season. It's going to get you the upper hand against your competition, and it's fun, man. Like, why would you not want to talk about football all year long?
Oh, we do it all year long.
Yeah, man, and that's why we win championships, and we hunt for championships. And number 9 is the hunt for the championship. So, tell them about what we do for championships, John, in our leagues.
So, in our leagues, we have 2 championships. We have a Roto. If you're not familiar with Roto is like basically the team or player or individual, say person in charge of the team is Roto is the most points.
Most accumulative, and cumulative points throughout the year.
We've done it in 13 weeks. We've done it Like, we just went to all...
We went to 16, and
all
that
16.
That was awesome because, you know, and one of the things, like a lot of what we look for in our leagues is what gives people the incentive to play all the way through. And we do, you know, and not to get too off topic here, but we have the consolation round winner gets first overall spot in the draft the next year. We have...
I won it.
You did, but,
Look where I finished.
Yeah. And then, you know, week 17, we have everybody kind of goes for, you know, number 2 spot in the draft and whoever has the highest points that week. Then, of course, Roto, you know, that gives, and we talked about it, there are teams that have the highest, you know, right there.
Should have adjusted this.
You got even shorter if that's possible. You have teams that have the most points in the league, but they end up, you know, with 3, 4, 5 wins because of the bad luck factor, like we talked about last week. So Roto, and that's why I say it's kind of more skill based, is in place for us. So there's 2 championships to fight for, and it kind of gives people who have those really good teams but don't have those really good records a chance to win a championship. And you know, for me, that home stretch in Roto is really like, and you know, you know that I was going head to head with Phil last year. And it was tight, man. We talk about Darius Leonard. I was like, dude, that 25 points that I lost with that Darius Leonard phantom sit
could have
cost me.
Could have cost you.
Turns out I curb stomped him. Yeah. But, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. But anyway, for me, that's why I love Roto. And, you know, John, you've had a lot of success as well as I in the playoffs. But you kind of have a knack for, you know, finding the right guys to plug and play. Even though you might have a big name on your bench, you find this guy with the right matchup. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been weeks I draft my team based on bye weeks sometimes, and I look at, you know, who's best available for that bye week fill-in. And sometimes I've gotten so anxious, I take the best available. I don't look at the bye week. Now hey, I got 3 starting running backs on the same bye week. Yeah. Now I'm playing, hey, I got one on my bench that I know I'm going to play, but then there's one I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So I go, go to Fab,
obviously not bye weeks in the playoffs. Those don't exist, but the same rules apply.
During, you know, obviously you need somebody. So you're looking for those plug and plays, and you look at the best matchups. I'm not going to lie. So you look at that gamble, but look at James Devlin. You can take a chance on him, and you pray that he gets 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean,
it's happened.
And you know, how unlikely is it that somebody starts James Devlin in the playoffs? But I mean, that's the point, right? You know, like you won a dynasty championship with Sam Darnold, who I don't think you had started all year on your squad.
Sam Darnold was a backup for me the whole time.
Yeah, Stafford, I think, was your starter. Yeah,
Stafford was my starter.
Haley Joel Osment was your starter. I see dead people. And, you know, it turned out that you put Darnold in there against some trash. What was that trash team they played? Was it Oakland or some
I think
trash
it was
team?
Oakland.
Yeah.
And Robbie Anderson, I actually picked him
and
up
Robbie Anderson, you know, Phil started Robbie Anderson against me in the It's funny, Phil and I were battling for 2 championships. I was so close to making history and winning both in the same year.
No, the reason what got me on Darnold was I remember...
Don't ignore that. That's significant.
But the reason why I got on Darnold that week was he sat on my bench. He had a decent matchup, and I think Stafford, I believe, was hurt. Not like fully hurt. He was questionable to play, and I don't like taking that chance. Oh, yeah. He's got a 50-50
And it's
chance.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah, Matt Stafford... Love the guy. He can put up 4 touchdowns one game. The next game, he's like, Phillip Rivers imploding. So it does happen.
I think Phil's a little bit more consistent, but I get your point. Yeah.
Yeah, the implosion games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we talked about last week, going against that guy or Phil that has, you know, Robbie Anderson and you know, Sam Darnold and all these other trash bag players, but you know, if you're in the playoffs and everything's on the line and you've got a guy that started for you all year and he's got a horrible matchup, you need to think about the alternatives, because the great thing about the offseason, you know, especially the playoffs, the postseason, especially the playoffs, is the fact that if you make one wrong move, make one wrong decision, you're done.
Yeah, it's do or die. It's good. Yeah. You know, it's win or go home.
And that's what's exciting about it. So what about number 8?
Number 8 is Fab.
What's Fab?
It's basically free agency bidding.
Fab is the greatest invention since like DVR, Netflix. Is DVR outdated? That's probably an outdated reference.
It is, but not really.
It's the greatest invention since podcasts. Fab is awesome.
For him, it's Twitter.
Yes, Twitter. Hey, 88 followers, my man. Keep those coming, guys.
Yeah.
Keep them coming.
Thank you.
It makes me feel really good about myself. But anyway, Fab gives you an opportunity to get a player regardless of where you land on the waiver order. And I think we switched to Fab, and I can tell you that, listening to a lot of the people in the fantasy football business, so to speak, a lot of people are switching to Fab. And basically the traditional waivers, if you are the worst team, you get the best opportunity, at the waiver wire. So let's say that week, Nick Chubb, all of a sudden he's the go-to guy in Cleveland. Well, just because you are the worst, crappiest fantasy football player, you get the best player on the waiver wire.
Necessarily get that.
Which is really silly, because that's not competition based. So when I discovered Fab on a podcast, and we started it, and it was the coolest thing in the world. And for me, Fab is like, I'm a drunken sailor when it comes to Fab. If I want a guy, I'm putting coin down, and we typically have like $150 in Fab.
200.
We're upping it to 200 this year because we changed some things in the league that, we just upped it because it would have worked out better for us. But anyway,
it's basically like auctioning for a guy with other teams. And here's my bit of advice on it.
And you can't see the other team's bids.
Yeah, you can't see it's like a silent auction,
so to speak. Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I can tell you this for advice. I've seen this. I'm still laughing. I've seen someone dump their whole Fab money. Remember, this is going to last you this season. I've seen somebody go all $200 on Wendell Smallwood. All 200.
Yeah.
And what did he do?
He didn't do well.
Yes, so that can make or break your
He's
team.
not even in the league anymore, but please like and subscribe, Mark.
The best thing I can suggest is set yourself like a budget. But like DJ said, if you feel all in on a guy, I wouldn't say all in, but let's say you have your full budget and you say,
I'll give you guys an example.
Use percentages. Like if I have $200, I say I really like the guy. I'm going to put 40% down. That's $80.
Yeah, and we'll help you guys out, by the way, throughout the season on what, we'll obviously have a waiver episode every week and talk about what you want to invest percentage-wise in Fab. But I'll give you a great example. Jordan Howard was on the wire, and I put $80 down on that guy because this was when he broke out. And I'm like, I get an opportunity in the playoff stretch to get a breakout workhorse back. I'm putting that money down, and sometimes you want to be conservative, and you could put $10 down, and you get the guy, and you still have a ton of Fab left, or you're dealing with a guy like me who's just gonna make it rain.
I mean, another great example was Deshaun Hamilton last year after Emmanuel Sanders went down.
Deshaun was like a guy that really slid right into that role.
Yeah, he was gonna get the first team. I mean, Demaryius was out.
Yeah.
Not Demaryius was out. Demaryius was on.
Demaryius got traded.
Yeah, he was in Houston.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Sanders got hurt. So,
not good there either.
Basically, Deshaun Hamilton had the prime opportunity.
Yeah, and Sutton hadn't really broken out.
No.
So those are examples that,
I don't think he's going to either. Not this year.
Well, we'll see. Is he on our? No, he's not going to be on our rankings episode. I don't think he crept that high up. But Fab is the way to go, guys. Like if you're still in the Stone Age and you're still dealing with waivers, traditional waivers, where you're rewarding why reward poor performance? We were always taught to not reward poor performance, and Fab really prevents that from happening.
Yeah, I mean, you can sit there and dump the week, and is it fair, like we said, for the guy to get the best running back that's available? Not to mention, he may already have 3 running backs, so he's just hoarding them when a team actually really needs a running back. Let's say somebody lost one of their starting running backs that week, and Fab, they really need them. So it's setting a budget.
The other thing you can do, and I'm being a little devious here, but you could potentially, let's say a guy has a quarterback and it's, I don't know, let's say Cam Newton or Deshaun Watson maybe, maybe Deshaun, right? And let's say he goes down and it's playoff time, and that's the dude's only quarterback because he didn't prepare.
No, it wasn't Watson.
Oh, who was it?
I drafted Watson the year before. Remember, I had him, and he blew his He blew his knee in practice.
Who was it? It was somebody's only quarterback, and they went down. It was Wentz.
Oh,
it was Carson Wentz. That's right.
And we now call it quarterback gate.
Yeah. Well, so there's a guy in our league, one of our leagues, that we might like to rile up a little bit. And we've touched on him before, and he really wants to be a guest on one of our episodes, by the way. I don't know if I told you that.
No, I'm fine with any guest coming on.
So anyway, Wentz went down because he's not the smartest guy in the world, so he only had one quarterback going into the playoffs.
But
stretch.
that to me shows who's a rookie and who's a veteran.
Exactly. So everybody in the league picked up a quarterback off the waiver wire.
Most of us had 2 or 3.
And he started, I don't even remember. I think it was Trubisky, before he was okay.
And I believe that game, he kind of imploded. I think he had 1 rushing touchdown. Was looking good, and it was a pick.
Yeah.
A pick.
I know. Yeah, trust me, I know. I was playing against him. It was glorious. But yeah, anyway, you can have a lot of fun with Fab. So I guess we'll leave it at that. Poor Noah. So number 7 is the thrill of competition. Right, John?
I love competition.
Do we have rivalries?
Oh, of course we have rivalries.
Do we have you ever experienced the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat?
Yeah, too many times.
Yeah, that's that roller coaster that we talked about last week. But, the thrill of competition is when you're sitting, to me, you're sitting on your couch and your guy is just, I've had games I'm a big Stephon Diggs guy. I think I've had him every year. And he's that guy that just, when he goes off, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And the emotion and the joy that it fills you with, this brings you up. My kids and I will do dances in the living room, end zone dances in the living room. And, it's just so freaking fun when your guy goes off and you're crushing the other team. But the other side of that is
when you're getting crushed. The other part of it, too, is I'm not going to lie. I had Julio Jones a few years ago, and I remember screaming at the TV. I think it was against the Panthers when he got that 80-yard touchdown, 3 TDs, 210 yards. I'm sitting there in the living room going, Julio! Because I was so pumped. And, of course, the family's looking at me like, what's wrong with Dad?
Oh, yeah. I'll come up with nicknames for guys.
Yeah, we all have nicknames.
I swear to God, I have a Juju Smith-Schuster dance. There's a dance that I specifically have for him. But Travis Kelce.
But the other side of it is when you are playing somebody that has that person and you don't have them, you just sit there and you're just like, can he please get taken out of the game? Time to rest him. Time to something to happen.
But we're talking about love here, man. We don't want to talk about that bad stuff. But I'll tell you what. I saw a video on, I don't know, somewhere on the internet, maybe Twitter, maybe Facebook, maybe YouTube. I can't remember where. But it was literally, I have George Kittle. He's a keeper of mine. I actually traded Travis Kelce to get George Kittle in a 2nd-round pick, which I still say you guys are going to see this year. I won out big time on that. But anyway, I was watching, and George Kittle was at an indie wrestling show, and he was handing out Stone Cold Stunners in the ring.
Really?
Yeah. So I love having fun guys like that. So maybe if he scores a touchdown, I'll just start dropping stunners on my kids.
Great. I know how the draft's going to go this year. Oh, round 3, Stone Cold Stunner.
I'll hit the glass shattering song there. Yeah. So anyway, that there is the agony of defeat, but it's and that can be fun too because they can bring you down low, and then all of a sudden, just everything starts going right, and everything starts coming around. And there's been weeks, man, where I'm done. I'm just done. I might even be done with fantasy football. I'm so done.
He won't even.
I don't have a chance.
He doesn't even answer texts from me.
I think a lot of people do that.
I'm not even poking the bear sometimes. I'm like, are you alive?
But then all of a sudden, that needle starts going back up, and oh man, this guy caught a touchdown. Oh man, this guy ran for a touchdown. My IDP guy just got a pick 6. Yeah, and all of a sudden you're back in it, and it's that roller coaster of emotions, man. That's what's so great about fantasy football.
I don't know if you know this. I'm very superstitious on certain things.
Yeah, that's where that I'm gonna lose. So just to throw this out there,
I am superstitious.
John thinks that he can reverse psychology fantasy football. he can tell you that he's going to lose, and he actually
No.
in his mind, deep inside, thinks he's going to win, but he just keeps saying he's going to lose.
I remember back in the day, we used to do predictions.
Just for the record, it actually works most of the time for you. But
I remember when we used to do predictions, like write-ups or whatever, who was going to win. I didn't want my name written up because I really thought it was a curse. Every time I got written up to win, I lost.
Predict him to win like almost every week. So I don't know if it was every time you lost, but
to me, I'm superstitious like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I
just
think we all are, and that's why. It's because we want to compete, we want to win, we've got that emotional investment. We want to trash talk the other guy. You know what I mean? Like,
what I love is
I wait till the off season to trash talk. I'll trash talk at the next year's draft because, like you said, we don't want to jinx ourselves. I'm not going to trash talk until I know it's over and I know I win the championship. Once the season's
over, you can sit there and walk in during the the get together for the the payouts and all the rings and belts and all that. But you don't start off the year walking in with a belt.
I mean, John and I at the draft are,
even
when we don't win the championship, we're just oppressively trash talking people.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like when people are like, "Oh, I won the belt this year." What a guy just show up at our get together.
Yes.
I'm not going to mention names.
I'm going to mention his name because that dude. So we do have a waiting list for our keeper league. Is the league of record. It's the Mecca. It's WrestleMania. It's the Super Bowl. It's the NBA championship. It's all that stuff. It's the World Cup. So that's where everybody wants to be. And, some people get a crack at it and don't survive. And some people never get a crack at it. But this dude, Josh, he's legit, man. He shows up for everything. He does a good job. And he's a champion. No, but continue.
But no, it's like he walks in with his belt. I get he wants to show it off. That's smack talking right there. He deserves that. But at the same time, I'm not coming in here.
Do you hear what I told him?
No.
I'm like, mine's on my mantle. It's been there like 3 years.
I did not
Come get it.
Well, it's like I said to him, I'm not walking in here like Ric Flair.
Yeah, woo!
With a robe going like, look at all my championships. Woo!
By the way, get well soon, Nature Boy. He just had heart surgery this week.
He's not... who doesn't love the Nature Boy?
I mean, that guy is timeless, man.
He doesn't have much time left. It stinks, but...
hopefully that's not the case, but, Yes, I think sometimes you have fascinated about... You wanted to buy a robe.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Let's get it all out there, John.
I wanted to showboat my victories, and I've won multiple championships, but...
He said he wasn't going to wear anything underneath the robe. I told him, don't do that.
Okay. So, but the bragging thing is... You gotta show it off when you have it. That's the thing. It's in.
Oh no, I love to say one of my favorite things is and this is all about competition, the thrill of competition. Somebody will try to trash talk me, and I'll be like, "Oh, what's that? I can't hear you. All my rings are clanging together."
You know what really stinks is I won a championship this year. I still haven't seen the trophy.
Oh, jeez, here we go.
The sad part is
you paid for it.
I paid for it. I donated my winnings to buy these trophies.
Just so I can say this, that's amazing because this guy's the cheapest guy I know. He's pretty tight with his money. Although he did buy me some Subway today, so I'm not going to complain.
Yes, I'm very tight with my money.
I got next.
But I did donate my money to buy 2 trophies that I think are just pictures now. I don't know if I'll ever see them. I get the printouts of them.
You know what? You remember back in the day when we were kids and the big New Kids on the Block pins? Maybe we could just make a pin with the trophies on it.
I feel like we have
this
to.
This giant... Oops, sorry. This giant pin.
It's like a boom.
So it's like an earthquake in here. My bad. And we're not editing that out because we don't really know how. And again, this is the working folks podcast, the working class podcast. We don't edit out bumps and bruises. So moving on, we had a good time with the thrill of competition. That was pretty fun.
Yes.
And why is that fun? Is because we have a bit of camaraderie, and I think number 6 is all about camaraderie and building friendships, and fantasy football. Like I said, I'll sit there and my guy will get a touchdown, and my son Andrew is into fantasy football now. He's debuting this year. The second generation, the royal blood, is coming to the tag team league with actually Noah. So
I think that's overdue. Noah hasn't had a good partner in years.
Or I think his partners his partners are like his girlfriends. I don't even know if they actually exist.
They're kind of like my trophy.
I like that. It's very good. We're having too much fun in this episode, but then that's what it's all about: is camaraderie and having fun and the social aspect and the social experiment. Well, maybe a social experiment too, but the social experience of fantasy football, where we're having a good time, we're having that water cooler talk. You know what I mean? It's just it's not just you're playing a game or you're competing in a game, but these guys are, these guys to me are friends for years, and it's a fraternity, right?
It's Fight Club.
We don't talk about Fight Club. I told you.
So, that's the thing. It's, I see these people all the time that are in our leagues. It's either through work, text messages. The smack talking goes on all year.
Yeah.
That's the part I love.
But it's not even in the smack talking. It's about talking about your team and how players are going to do, and what do you think of this guy? What do you think of that guy? It's just, and again, number 3 on our list is an indicator of why we get together and why we have so much fun and why there's so much camaraderie. And that's a little tease, I guess. But I have had guys that were friends for years, and I'm closer to my fantasy football friends than I am to those guys because it brings us together so consistently,
And we're always finding new blood or new faces.
Yep.
Too. And even we were shocked last year. I think it was TJ.
Yep.
And I know he's played in other leagues, and then
not DT.
Yeah, TJ. Yeah. And he came in, I think, a couple of our drafts, and I was blown away by how he drafted. His team on paper looked fantastic.
It didn't work too. Didn't work out too well. He drafted really well.
Yeah,
though.
His downfall, honestly, was who he started. He made some bad choices during the year.
Start sits can be. Yeah,
his start sits is what cost him. I think he had the team the whole time.
Yeah.
He drafted very well. It actually shocked me how well he drafted.
Yeah, and that's why we have live drafts, and we do have other events too, because we want to bring everybody together. And we work with a lot of these guys, and we don't work with a lot of of the other guys as well. But it's just so cool to have it's a fraternity. That's really exactly what it is, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. Is we can make fun of each other, we can laugh together, we can cry together sometimes. Not literally, but
it's not just that. We also came together for a member last year. Lost his home to a fire. He lost a lot of good things. A lot of memories he can't get back.
Huge collection of jerseys.
Yeah, and what we did as a group was we all chipped in money, got him a new belt, got him a new jersey.
Yeah, I don't think we got him a belt, but we got him a jersey.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, a jersey, but he did not.
But his pants kept falling down too, so we got him a no.
But that's.
But no, we got him a jersey, and not only that, but. And I think it kind of happened organically, but Saquon Barkley obviously coming out as a rookie, we got him a Barkley jersey, and he was 8th pick, and we all, this is a competition, but we all let Barkley fall to him.
I wanted him really bad too.
Well, and I think a couple guys wanted him really bad, but they're like, this dude just lost his house, so that's the camaraderie. That's a great example.
He was a Giants fan, and deep down
Poor fella.
He wanted Barkley. He knew he had no chance at any pick, and we all.
And he didn't ask us for any of this. To be clear, this is something we did on the DL. Yeah,
we all discussed with each other the jersey, everything, the pick,
and it probably will never ever happen again. Again, Jordy Nelson had a torn ACL. We didn't tell the team that drafted him, so we're not saints here for sure. But yeah, no,
I was the scapegoat for that one. Everyone's yelling at me.
Yeah. I think, and I was guilty by association.
Yeah,
but I think that I'm really glad you brought up that example, because that's a great, way to sum up number 6 camaraderie, and we're sure glad we have that. So
we're going to number 5.
It's all you, brother.
Number 5, trading and also draft pick trading.
Specifically, yes. I'm going to tell you something. Even if it's a redraft league, you should really have draft pick trading in your league. It's so much fun. I think we had upwards of 20 plus transactions with just draft picks. We had guys trade draft picks to a team that traded them to another team that traded them to another team. It's another one of those things that we talked about the off season. It really helps you keep going in the off season. It gives you something to do in the off season. Draft pick trading is so much fun. What are some of your trade strategies though, John?
Trade strategies, obviously if you're in love with a guy, you want him, but you're not going to trade the whole team away. And the biggest strategy is you're going to look at your team, what your team needs are, age, depth, everything, what team they're on, the moves. It's research. It's research involved in that as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because we like to bring up real life stuff that's actually going on with us, because we aren't the experts. We're not, fantasy pros or any of those guys. We're the working class podcast. And I think one of the trades that was brought up, and this probably will be a polarizing trade regardless of how it goes through, if it goes through. But John is a big fan of Saquon Barkley, like we just said. And who isn't, really? He has David Johnson. Who are your other two keepers? Devontae Adams.
Patrick Mahomes, and
Pat Mahomes.
Hunter Henry.
Okay, perfect. So he's looking to get Saquon Barkley. And the guy that has Saquon Barkley is a Chiefs mega fan and loves Patrick Mahomes and is looking to get Patrick Mahomes. Well, obviously that trade's not a 1-for-1. So what was the offer that you threw at him first?
I believe first offer was Patrick Mahomes for Saquon Barkley. Patrick Mahomes and my first-round pick for Saquon Barkley.
It was 2 first-round picks, wasn't it?
First and a third.
Okay, I thought you had sent him Pat Mahomes, your first this year and your first next year.
No, that was actually, you're right.
That was your first offer.
That was the first offer.
Okay. And how do I know your offer's better than you do? Probably because I helped negotiate half of your trades. Anyway, and I think he was a little fuzzy on that because your first round pick this year was 11 overall. And, John asked me, well, what do you think? Well, I think if you want Saquon Barkley, I mean, that's a lot to give up for him. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I guess that's subjective. And then, he came back with, well, I'll give you Barkley if you give me Mahomes your first this year and your third this year. And what did I tell you? If you want Mahomes, what was the exact phrase that I said? I said, do you remember when you're a kid and you had to drink, remember what it was? The awful rancid cough syrup. What did you do?
You drank
You
it.
pinched your nose, you puckered your rear end, and you downed it. And sometimes with trades, if you want a guy, that's what you got to do. You got to just, you have to lose to win sometimes. Would you agree with that?
No, you do. And that's the thing. Is this going to affect me? It's more going to affect me short term than long term.
Right. But it is a keeper league, too.
Yes, it is a keeper league.
So you can keep Saquon Barkley for 6-7 years.
You hope. You hope.
You hope, barring injuries or,
But that's the thing. You got to weigh out if you really want him. Is this a definite trade I have to make? No.
Yeah.
And I'm still pondering it. I'm still trying to work it out. But deep down, am I going to drink that cough syrup? I think I'm going to. I really like Saquon.
It's not even the grape one. It's the cherry that doesn't taste. It never tasted like cherry. It tasted like bile.
Bubblegum's better.
Yeah, but I don't think that stuff actually worked very well. I think
it left
the worst it tastes.
It left a chalky taste in your mouth.
I don't remember that. But the worst tasting cough syrup was probably the more effective. And that trade might be cough syrup for you. So I want you guys to think about that. Drink the cough syrup and it'll make you better. If you don't drink the cough syrup, you're running the risk of not getting better.
That's a good analogy.
The more you know.
If you drink NyQuil, you won't even make that pig because you'll pass out.
Don't drink NyQuil on a trade. But no, trades are so fun, man. And I call myself the trade whisperer, and I think John would back me up that I am the trade whisperer.
He has made trades that, I'll trade you my left
No, they're not bad
camel
trades.
for Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
but they're not bad trades, and that's the thing.
Bad trades, but sometimes it makes you think, how did he pull it off?
Well, what I do is I look at their team. So the first thing you want to do is don't trade with the team in first place because they have no reason to negotiate with you. You trade with the teams that are on the lower end. You don't see me do a lot of early season trades. I wait it out and wait for those teams that are struggling and need to make a move. And then I'll say, okay, well, let's say I'll try to pick out a couple of players. I'll say I have Lamar Miller, and let's say pick a middle of the road running back, like a decent running back. Let's say Tariq Cohen.
Let's say Latavius Murray.
Nah, last year he wasn't really. But let's say I have Tariq Cohen and Lamar Miller, and let's say I have help me out here, who's a middling wide receiver, like a decent. Let's say Jarvis Landry, because this guy is decimated with injuries. Or maybe even somebody better than Jarvis Landry. Let's say Robert Woods. Okay, that's a good example. So Robert Woods, Tariq Cohen, Lamar Miller. The guy's decimated at running back. Let's say his starting running backs are like Latavius Murray and some other scrub. Isaiah Crowell or something like that. You know what I mean? So he's in a position where he or she needs to get their running back depth refilled, so to speak. And he's also got, I don't want to say DeAndre Hopkins because that might be, aiming too high. But let's say he's got
Adam Thielen. That's too high.
Let's say Juju. Let's say he's got Juju. And actually, I did a trade like that last year, and I'll touch on that in a second. But, I want Juju really bad. So that's no, I'm going with DeAndre because Robert Woods and Juju are pretty much the same. So I'm offering 3 guys that'll help his depth. He's getting a really good wide receiver in return, but he's giving an elite wide receiver. And those are the kind of trades that I try to make. I'm losing Robert Woods, but I'm in the playoff hunt. Who would I rather have, Robert Woods, DeAndre Hopkins, and 2 backs that I'm probably not starting in the playoffs anyway. So, and I think last year, actually, I did do a couple of trades early in the year. We talked about the Kareem Hunt one, but
that was right after the draft. Literally 15 minutes after the draft to have a negotiation went down and like, witness, hear this.
Yeah, witness. But not too far into the season, Marvin Jones still had some scratch to him. You know what I mean? There was some value there. Yeah. And who else did I trade him? It was a 3rd round pick. So I traded him Marvin Jones and a 3rd round pick for Juju Smith-Schuster, who people thought was going to be good, but they weren't really sure. And boy, did I make out on that one. So you got to look at the other team, what their needs are. And you can't just offer them trash because then and that's what's really important when I do trade with people and how I do end up making it or pulling it off is I don't insult them, because the second you insult them, you're never going to get anywhere with them. You have to send them offers that are reasonable.
The other aspect of it too is, and I've been known, I did this in the past. I haven't done it. Well, I don't do it that often anyways. I don't make that many trades, but you can't do the 5-for-1 deal and think 5 people look good for one because if it doesn't help their team in any way, like if they already have 4 out of 5 backs that are really good, why do they want 2 more?
You squeeze pennies so much it looks like when the train runs over.
Train tracks, all thin. But no, that's the thing is, the trade's got to benefit both sides.
It does. You're wasting your time and their time, and if you're just offering junk.
Sometimes it's exactly like DJ said. You got to drink that cough syrup, regardless if it hurts your team a little bit.
Yeah.
How bad do you want that person?
Especially in the playoffs. It may look
like the other person is getting the better deal, but at the same time, too, you got to be careful. You don't want to be one of those teams that trade all your draft picks away. Then it comes. Obviously, the time for the draft, and you're hurting.
Actually,
you
can be savvy with that too. I mean, we've got myself and another guy. We traded away our first 4 round picks and then got them all back because we had built up such a good roster that we had extra guys that were keeper options that we traded those to other teams to recoup those picks. So it's an art form, and I'm happy to be the trade whisperer, and I have a lot of fun trading and. Trading is fun, right? And that's why we're talking about it.
It is fun, yeah. Especially when you know you're going to get the guy you want.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins.
And when you get it, when you sign that, when they hit that button, it's such a good feeling. Especially now where we got rid of, as we touched on earlier in another episode, we got rid of draft vetoes. So once they click that button, that guy's on my team. And you look at a guy like Juju. Now I'll have him for as long as
there is a suggestion, guys. Though, if you are in a league that does draft pick trading, please do not. It's not a bash at ESPN. ESPN is very user friendly as it relates.
Unless ESPN wants to sponsor us, then we're more than happy to tell you that they're the best platform.
There's not many sites that do a lot of draft pick trading. So when you find them, I believe Sleeper, I believe Fantrax, which you got to pay for.
So to be clear, ESPN does offer draft pick trading unless you have an offline draft, which we'll talk about that too. But it's not. They're not very customizable, and I don't want to plug these guys. Let these guys come to us. They can sponsor us. They've got to put that money down. Which is going to be a while. So, by the way, continue to download our stuff. Continue to like and subscribe, as you'll hear me say that an awful lot. But yeah, so trading's fun. We love doing it, and it makes. I mean, it's just as fun in my opinion as the actual games. So, what about moving on to number 4?
Number 4 is Keeper Dynasty, building a connection of players. Being a GM, a coach in a higher level of competition.
It does definitely add a higher level of competition. Keeps you going all year round. I would recommend if you do not do... I mean, Dynasty, I think, is not for everybody because you're looking at really big rosters. And sometimes, people aren't crazy like me and John or obsessed like me and John, and they don't want to spend every waking moment dealing with fantasy football. But a nice consolation prize to that is a keeper league. And we've done a keeper league since this is our 10th anniversary this year, which is really cool. Actually, we're going to celebrate our 10th anniversary. We are officially going to do a live podcast.
Aha, talked them into it.
Yeah, on August 18th will be our draft day, our big draft day, and that we might debut video a little sooner, but at very latest, you're going to see our lovely faces on YouTube in a video capacity on August 18th at the latest. So just adding that. But yeah, keeper. We've done keeper forever, and you know what my favorite thing about keepers, John, is you really build, and you mentioned it, you build a connection to players. Like, I look at Juju Smith-Schuster as I don't know why John's trying to distract me with stuff right now. I look at Juju Smith-Schuster as like, that guy's my friend, man. Like, he's my brother, you know? Stephon Diggs, like, those are guys, Ezekiel Elliott.
Well, the thing is,
those are guys I have connections to.
Let's not lie. When you get somebody on your team, you know that's a keeper, a dynasty. It's a man crush.
Yeah.
You go get their jersey.
That's exactly what it is.
You go get their jersey. I'm not gonna. How many Julio
You make up
jerseys?
A dance for them.
Yep.
The Juju
Julio
dance.
jersey for what? 3 years.
Yeah, Julio for you. Yep.
But that's the thing. Le'Veon Bell, I had a jersey.
Yep.
You fall in love with these guys, and I've been offered a fair amount when I had Le'Veon Bell when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
And that's it. You get engaged with these guys, so it's almost like a bromance.
Yeah.
It's hard to give them up.
I'll tell you
wear
what.
Their clothes, well, not their little clothes,
Yeah.
but their jerseys.
Right.
But you develop a fan base, and then you hear people go, oh, I thought you were a Pats fan, not a Steelers fan. You can have love for the game, guys. So you can sit there and wear other people's jerseys. I hate those.
Can I just piggyback off that? So I'm a Cowboys fan, and I've been a Cowboys fan since I can remember. I've always been a Cowboys fan. I never jumped on and again, John and I live in Maine, and I've never jumped on the Patriot bandwagon because I've always been a Cowboys fan. I don't care how many Super Bowls the Patriots win. It really makes no difference to me. I bleed blue. So, Cowboy blue, to be specific. But, with that being said, if you asked me, so my team name is the Bearded Club, sometimes the Dropkick Donzos, depending on the league. If you ask me, would you rather that team win a championship or the Cowboys win a championship? It's my fantasy team all day freaking long. Because those are championships that I won with those guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're not...
I don't have anything to do with the Patriots or the Cowboys. I have no control over whether those teams win or lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not in the locker room celebrating champagne.
I didn't accomplish anything. And sometimes it's hard to remind Patriots fans that they didn't accomplish anything. But
like, me and DJ have a love for the game. We love our teams, but we also love the game. Like, right now,
John's wearing an Eagles jersey.
I'm wearing an Eagles jersey. Yeah. It's a throwback.
Right.
It's Brian Dawkins. Yeah. I mean, who didn't love Brian Dawkins, Hall of Fame safety?
I've worn a Wes Welker jersey before. You know what I mean? These are players that we've had on our teams, not Dawkins necessarily, but, that we are more emotionally attached to than we are our actual favorite teams. Yeah. I'm a bigger fan of Juju Smith-Schuster than I am of the Cowboys. I'm a bigger fan of Ezekiel Elliott, or you might be a bigger fan of Ezekiel Elliott than you are the Patriots. You know what I mean? Maybe he's not a good example for you, but like, I'm a bigger fan of Stephon Diggs than I am of the Cowboys. Almost slipped up there.
And it does influence your picking too, or trading. You really want that guy. Like, you've aimed for him for years.
Don't fall too hard in love. Fall in love with players that are really good. There's the key.
Yeah, don't pick up that.
Don't fall in love with, I don't know,
Frank the Tank Gore.
Or a lot of people fell in love with Amari Cooper before he got to Dallas, and so fall in love with really good players. So anyway, keepers dynasties. If you're not doing them, do them. They're really fun. Do them in addition to your redraft if you don't want to stop doing redraft. But that's where it's at. For us, keepers and dynasty are really, really fun, and I think make winning and watching the game a lot more interesting. So.
I mean, you're the GM of your own team. You're the coach of your own team. So
you're the man.
You
won a championship.
You control your destiny. So,
right.
It's just like at real football, obviously NFL, you're the GM. You have to take a team, build it to a championship level. Yeah. So it may take trades. It may take pick negotiating during a combine for us. But, you know what I'm saying, though? There's...
actually, I want to touch on it in the next one. Let's go to special events number 3. Because John mentioned a combine, and it's not something I did in any of my leagues, but you're in a league where you do a combine, right?
So 2 years ago, this was very interesting. It was actually, I laughed at first because I'm like, this is crazy. But what we did was we had a combine for the
it was more like a punt, pass, and kick.
Yeah,
kinda.
It was a punt, pass, and kick thing.
Yeah.
And there was also, like, I think another round was questions.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And you based, I think it was like 3 different things. I can't remember. But it was punt, pass, pass, and catching.
Yeah.
2 different skill drills.
Yeah.
Like different
I could do both of those
depths.
pretty well. I would have won.
There was another one you have to stay in the ring.
Yeah.
Like while catching the
like
ball.
a wrestling ring, like
no, like
getting a stunner from George Kittle.
No, you know, like when they have the quarterback, not the quarterback, but the skills challenge.
Oh yeah.
It's like that. You have to stay in the little circle and catch it. So it's high up, low side.
Yeah, gotcha.
You get so many points. Passing, you have to get so many yards, and the person has to stay in the circle or whatever.
Yeah. But that's awesome. Like, that's the type of stuff that we always try to think of.
And there was another one, was like a series of questions. Who had the most, highest points weeks? Who had the lowest? Who finished in this spot? It was like there was a cheat sheet that even came out a week before. Yeah. So you could study. So obviously, the more you study all these stats and stuff, it determined your draft order.
You know what we ought to do? And I just thought of this. We ought to have, like, at the draft one year, we should have, like, a game, like division versus division, actual, like a flag football game or something. That would be pretty cool. God. See, we just added another event to the calendar.
Another dimension, the Pro Bowl.
But these special events are so cool for us, and I think a lot of leagues don't take advantage of this type of thing. Like, we mentioned it. We have championship belts. We have the Roto champion in our keeper league. We have the playoff champion in our keeper league. We have tag team champions with tag team championship belts. We have John mentioned rings. We have a Ring of Honor where basically it's like an MVP owner every year wins it, and it's chosen by the previous year's winner. We do so many things just to keep people involved and make our league the best league.
We had a cookout last year, like in the middle of 2 drafts.
Yeah, we do that every year. We have 2 drafts.
It's a BYOB or bring your own pizza too. I mean, we've done everything. We've had so much food that we actually
sometimes we have too much. Yeah,
we never finish. Everybody chips in too.
We had a potluck one year. Every year we do a year-end party where we hand out the trophies, the winnings, all that kind of stuff, and we talk about what's coming next year. And then just recently we had our kickoff summit, which we raffle off draft picks. So basically you buy raffle tickets. We mentioned it before. And, we raffle off the spots in the draft, depending on if your ticket's pulled. We do the
ticket pulling can be so aggravating.
Well, this year we wrote names on it, which was way better.
Yeah, last year we used raffle tickets with the numbers 4, 5, 7.
All we needed was Ben Stein to be reading the numbers off.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller. But last year, we did numbers. We didn't write the names.
Yeah,
that's our
brutal.
mistake.
You learn as you go, just like this podcast.
But there was 3 guys in the league that spent a substantial amount of money on tickets.
We were 2. You weren't. No, were you cheap that day? I can't remember. Anyway.
No, I actually outbid you, and then you increased it to keep up with me.
Yeah, well, I got a big time, yeah. But anyway, I would encourage you guys, if you have leagues, especially if you do offline drafts, don't just do the draft. Add these other events. They're so much fun. I mean, what's better than talking football, drinking beer, and eating pizza? Is there anything better than that?
No, it's fun.
It's a blast. Number 2,
the podcast.
So we just started. This is our 4th episode, and this has already flown up the ranks here on the top 10 things that we love about fantasy football. And for me, I'm a podcast guy. I've listened to podcasts for a long. I don't listen to the music much. I think John and I were listening to the music in my car on the way here, and that's the first time I can remember in a long time, unless my kids are in the car.
No, podcasts are great. Not just to do it. I mean, this is a dream come true.
This is awesome.
So thank you guys.
Yeah.
The other part of it is you hear different interpretations of, different writers, everything. I'm not even saying writers. It's everything. Thinkers, writers, everything. Owners.
And you
hear different perceptions that you wouldn't think normally in your head, and you'd be like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Kudos to the guys that actually think of the stuff we don't think of sometimes.
Right.
And they take a different angle because it makes you think a different angle then.
Well, and I think, when I listen to I have 4 podcasts that I like a lot, and I'm not going to plug them here because they're not going to plug us, but they all bring something different to the table. And when John and I were sitting and we were dreaming this up 2 years ago, we were like, well, what do we want it to be? And I think we've taken a little bit from everybody. I mean, we are, we say we're not experts, but We are, and so are you guys that put a lot of time into fantasy football and a lot of effort into fantasy football. You know, they're not getting any information they're not getting any information that we're not getting, basically, is what I'm saying. You know, so yeah, we're all experts in a way, and listening to those podcasts made me a better player in fantasy football, and it made me enjoy the sport more as well. So you take that and you translate that to what we're doing now, and this is like so much fun, man. Like my real job is pretty cool. I don't hate it. It's a pretty cool gig, and I got a pretty good quality of life doing it, and I do I can live the way I want to live. You know what I mean? And it's cool, but it's not this. You know, this is like so freaking cool and so fun.
We eat, sleep, and breathe fantasy. So this, for us, this is the dream come true.
Yeah, this is it,
This
man.
is the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
If I could do this 24/7,
Yeah.
I don't even care if I sleep.
Yeah.
If I could sit here
Right.
and put my head down and just pay attention, not even pay attention, just speak. I don't care if you hear me snoring.
Yeah.
This is a dream come true.
I will wake him up if he falls asleep during a podcast, though. But in all seriousness, man, like, you know, thank God for podcasts in general, because it's an outlet, not even just for us in fantasy football, but it's an outlet for people to be able to, you know, spread what, you know, their feelings and their thoughts on particular topics and get that out there to the masses, or maybe not the masses, maybe a select few, depending on how popular it is. But, you know, it's a great platform, and we're having a blast with it. Hopefully you guys are too. So we're going to move it right along, because we're going to try to keep it around an hour. That seems to be, everybody seems to like the rough hour time frame, not the hour and a half marathon. So we're going to move on to numero uno. And I think everybody agrees with this one. It's the draft. That's the coolest thing about fantasy football. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes, definitely.
That was convincing.
No, it is. The live draft.
But like this, it's the anticipation. It's, you know, everything we do in the off season, everything we do in the regular season,
like
builds up to the draft.
It's like Christmas.
Yep,
you
it
know
is.
Christmas is coming.
There's like for me, just so you guys know, I'm a huge Christmas guy. I go all out for my kids and my wife, and much to my wife's chagrin sometimes, and maybe I go too all out some years, but it's huge for me. And basically the draft is like a half a step behind that.
I mean, it's sad every year that like we've done this, and actually year it gets different. The night before is like Christmas Eve. You know Christmas is coming the next day. You're having a hard time sleeping. You're already talking about, oh, where should we go for breakfast? Are we going to make it on time? Can you text me? Can you call me? Set your alarm. Set my alarm so that way you're not missing anything. You look forward. This is the day of the year, other than Christmas, that you pretty much look forward to, other than your, you know, your family's birthdays and, you know, personal stuff like that. But you look forward to this. And it's all the preparation for this. So, it's exciting. It really is exciting. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The night before, I'm looking at what jersey I should wear to the draft.
It's so like, and we mentioned it too. We have the breakfast. It's just, it's a holiday. It's legitimately a holiday. There's no two ways about it. I mean, you know, we're in an industry at our real jobs where we don't get Labor Day off. We don't get Memorial Day off. You know, we don't get, I don't know, Secretary's Day off or whatever all these crazy holidays are. Those aren't holidays. Draft day is a holiday, and you darn betcha I'm getting that off every year. I've told my bosses before, you can schedule me, but I'm calling out that day. That's how hardcore it is. And it's just fun, man. And you guys are going to see that firsthand when we record live at our draft on August 18th. We'll post that show on August 19th. You're going to see how much fun we have, and you can have if you're not doing live drafts. It is an event. You know what it is, John? It's a celebration. That's what it is. It's a celebration of fantasy football. And everything we've talked about today, it ties all that stuff into that one day draft day, right? I mean, everything we're talking about here, draft day is the culmination.
The only thing I would say I don't like about the draft is what happened last year to me, which I don't think has happened in a long.
Both of us last year.
Both of us.
I mean, I won a championship regardless.
You still had the deer in the headlight look.
Oh, it was bad.
I mean, it was bad for both of us. I've never seen both of us just sit there and like It's quiet.
Yeah.
And of course, the references from Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Well,
We're waiting. Or the Jeopardy song.
Oh yeah, people playing Jeopardy on their phone.
That was Kuchar, Mr. Funny Man.
We froze up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen often. Did it?
That has never happened. I am lightning when I pick. Like,
no,
I am like, it's like the Matrix. You remember when Neo, like he just saw like red dress, blue dress, green dress. He didn't see, you know what I mean? Like, so that's what it's like for me most of the time. And, you know, because I've already in my mind prepared, okay, I got these 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys even that I'm ready to draft and I'm comfortable with. And then they're all gone.
Yeah. Last year it was like, he's looking at a sheet, I'm looking at a sheet. All the people that we have prepped for all year were completely off the board. Even the ones that you thought were a reach were like, wow. And not
I was ticked off.
No, and the other part of it is too, like we had just done the tag team draft beforehand, which we usually always do the keeper
let's
first.
Explain that to these guys.
And okay, so the tag team draft, it's more teams, but it was a very different draft approach.
Yeah.
And people you thought that would have went in the tag went even earlier in the tag or vice versa. It was,
and then you thought you could sit for a little bit.
Yes.
And then those guys were completely reached for. So typically we do the keeper league first and then the tag league second.
Yes.
We like John said, we do the cookout in between. Well, this year I'm like, well, really, you know, this past year, so you can blame it on me. I said, well, shouldn't the keeper be the main event? You know what I mean? Shouldn't that be the crescendo? And we're like, yeah, sure, why not? So we did the tag team league first. And it was the worst decision I've ever made in my life. And I've made a few bad decisions. I've made my fair share, as they say.
I think once but the other aspect you look at it as too is we moved the draft thinking, oh, hey, if we do the tag first, we might have an indication of who people want. No, it's completely different. It is not what we thought.
And some of the guys are in both leagues.
Yeah, some are in both leagues. And at the same time, you know, there's people that are only in one league and they leave after, so they're not burned out like we are. But 2 drafts, and believe it or not, we have shortened these drafts quite a bit.
They used to be. We used to go to a Chinese buffet, the Tin Buffet, in town in Biddeford, Maine, and or right next door, Biddeford, Maine.
So literally right down the road.
You know, these were like they were like evil eyeing us because we were there for like 7 hours at an all you can eat buffet. So you know, we kind of moved the draft and. Now we've shortened it to there are a couple hours for the keeper.
I would say tops 2.5 hours for each draft with an intermission in between.
But I'm cool with that because I don't want the draft to end, man.
Yeah,
I want to keep it going. I want to keep the love going.
There's always a joke of a 3rd draft, but what's funny is every year we get so antsy about the draft that we move up our other ones. So I think last year we drafted in June, July, August, and I actually had another 2 in July, so I had 4 in July. And I think we had what?
Yeah, because
the dynasty in May.
It was a startup dynasty, so we did that right after the NFL draft.
And then we also had, I think it was our high roller league was in August.
Yeah,
last minute.
I can't even remember. Yeah,
we do so many drafts.
Yeah.
Which we've scaled back this year. But big difference in
because of the pod. Yeah, is why we scaled back.
I think of preparation and everything, but at the same time, it's. You're going to sit there at a draft, and every draft is going to be taken differently. Why? You have a different approach for each one. Yeah. It's different sets of rules. If it's a keeper, not keeper. If it's a dynasty, depends where you're picking. It's a completely different realm. So, after all the drafts I had done, I would think, when it came time for the keeper, I'd be all set. No, I actually froze. I completely froze. I'll admit it.
Yeah. So it's happened to both of us once in our lives, and it was the same year. So we're not going through that again. But we're getting short on time, so we'll put a bow on it. The draft is a celebration. It's a holiday. It is everything that you love about fantasy football bottled up into one day. So that's our easy number one.
Yeah, have fun with it. Don't get angry. There's no point in getting angry. If you love
Unless you don't get Marcus Mariota and you really want him. We can reference that. We need to do that. That's our one per show. We reference the Mariota thing.
Mariota. But the thing is, you guys, if you love the game, it's going to have its goods and bads. You're going to have a bad draft, bad pick or whatever. But it's what makes fantasy football exciting. You learn from either what you did right or wrong, and then you either move on or you adapt or you change. for me, it's a new experience every year.
Yep.
And it's just something you look forward to every year. It's like a holiday.
And it's coming soon.
Yep. It's coming more than soon. So.
And you guys will be there.
Yeah.
You are invited.
You will be live with us.
Not live, but
yeah, but you'll be there.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna buy a GoPro. We should go GoPro with that thing.
I'm debating. We're gonna record a pod for sure and a YouTube video as well. You will see us. We will debut on video at latest August 18th. You have my word on that. And I know it's sometimes on YouTube it's hard to invest in a show that just has their logo there and you're listening to them. But please, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, that notification bell. It means a lot to us in terms of, helping us get to a monetized point. I'm not going to lie. And it also means a lot to us, as far as our listeners, being involved and being invested. It means a great deal to us. We're on iTunes,
Spotify.
Apple Podcasts, and we're on Spotify. You can email us at armchairfb@gmail.com. We want to do a listener league. We want to do a Q&A, or as they say, a mailbag show. And we're also at Armchair Fantasy Football on Facebook as well. We're both on Twitter. I'm at Armchair Kingpin.
And I'm John2977.
At John2977.
Yep. Sorry.
So there's a whole lot of ways to reach out to us, and we are accessible. We want to try to respond to everybody that reaches out to us. We appreciate the messages that you guys have sent. We'll list through them probably on the next pod, but we got people from Germany, Florida, and we're up here in Maine. We got a lot of local people too. But what I can tell you guys is hitting the like button's great, hitting the subscribe button's great, downloading us is huge, but it's the old school, like, tell your friends, man. Like, tell them.
Yeah, spread the word. I mean, like I said before, I've said on comments, ask us questions. We're going to tell you the honest truth. We have nothing to hide.
A few things.
We're the working class podcast.
We are the working class podcast. And we want to start an armchair army. You know what I mean? And you guys are the lieutenants. And, we are recruiting you to get us some armchair warriors for our armchair army. And we don't edit this stuff, man. We just shoot from the hip, and we're as real as it gets. And if you guys can represent and help us out, we would greatly appreciate that. We are having a blast. And at some point we're actually gonna have a Patreon page up as well. And maybe we can get some additional content for that. We're putting t-shirts together. We're taking this very seriously. Like I said, we want to do this for a living, and as much as you guys can help is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated by us. And that's all I got to say about that. What about you, John?
I appreciate all the feedback, guys. I also appreciate how many likes we've gotten. It was actually
almost 300 now.
Yeah, very surprising.
It's awesome.
I'm so humbled, guys.
Yeah.
Just keep spreading the word is what we ask. Love doing this. Want to be here for you guys. So, keep liking us, keep spreading the word, and bigger and more things to come, I think.
You keep that love coming. We're going to keep doing our thing. Right, John?
Yes, we will.
All right. We'll see you guys next week, or you can listen to us next week. When we'll do some rankings. I think top 10 tight end is first on the docket.
Top 12, I think.
Top 12 tight end. And that's going to be really fun because John and I's rankings don't exactly blend.
So he sent an email to me of his rankings. I sent an email of my rankings. And I'm getting texts, and he's like,
what are you smoking, bro?
What are you smoking? Are you high? Honestly,
how can you have this guy ahead of this guy?
But then when I gave him my interpretation, and there's some that maybe reaches in my terms, but there was some he actually agreed with me.
Yeah.
So it's.
But that's what's great, man. That's what we bring to the table is different points of view. And then you're going to see the consensus
ranking, what experts kind of have to say, and some are in line, some are not even close in line.
Yep.
But that's why the next show we do is going to be a perspective on that, and you're going to see it from different angles.
Yep.
Like we said before, we love podcasts because you get different views, opinions, and angles. from different people, and that's what you're going to see next week when we do the rankings.
It's going to be awesome.
You're going to see.
We're excited about these episodes.
This ranking is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more argumentative on some.
This is going to be it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
I can't wait for this one.
Can't wait.
So
that was my Bart Scott impression.
So hey, I will stay tuned, guys. We will talk to you soon.
We love you guys. Peace out.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. Thanks for supporting the show. Until next time.